proposed, continuing section 1 notes, what is it called if an organism, what is dog breeding and farming? What are those examples of? Let's see if you guys gave me the right answer. Artificial selection for sure. Bleh. Definitely unnatural. It's not natural selection, right? They are forms of reproduction, I know, but what I was looking for is what we were talking about yesterday, those being forms of artificial selection. Nature does not select for a pug or a chihuahua, right? It's not going to live. Do we have a guest today? Okay, where are you from? Central. All right. We'll get it. You coming here? Maybe? Okay. We're not better, but we're a little better. I just scared to go over there because I hear you guys have weapons over there, don't you? I'm just teasing. I always tease it because the Central is, dangerous, right? We're safe, aren't we? Is it dangerous over there? No? That's just what I hear. I don't know. I'm from up north, though, so anything like other side of the bridge scares me. Okay. It was legit. Okay. All right. I'm just teasing. So, what's your name, kiddo? Brooklyn. Nice to have you. I'm Mr. Mason. Hey. So, you guys told me it's artificial selection. Is this where we left off? I just want to double check. I left off in 3 different places yesterday. So, Darwin applied Malthus's ideas. Remember, Malthus said that exponential growth is going to increase faster than logistic growth of the food supply, and that the population is going to have a hard time feeding itself, and then we'll have disease, war, and famine. Buddy, where's your notes? Get them out, please. So a population is, again, all of the individuals of the same species in a given space or area. So do we evolve individually or do we evolve as a species? As a species or as a population, right? Okay? Shouldn't say species. So Darwin saw that all kinds of organisms tend to produce more offspring than can survive. If we overproduce, we have more variation, right? And then nature has more to choose from. So think about this. Humans, do we put a lot? Oh my gosh, my thing's not working. Do we put a lot, thumbs up, or a little into our reproduction? Up or down? A lot or a little into our reproduction? Energy, resources. Just drag it. So, a lot of you say a lot, some say a little, some are, I don't know. How about I give you a comparison? Compared to a trout. We put more or less into our reproductive abilities or process than a trout. Trout swims upstream, lays eggs, leaves. Compared to your mom spending 9 months, 3 trimesters, and then raising you till you're 25 and leave the house, right? So if you have not grabbed the dot from the right, that means you're like not here right now, you're somewhere else. You can grab your dot and drag it over to the green side, please. Just so I know that you're all here with me. One lone soul over here, rebelling. Ah, there he goes there, slow motion. She's like staring at me like, oh yeah, that's me. So, all right, so here's the idea, you guys. Because trout, and I use trout because trout season opens this Friday, right? Woohoo, right? Walleye too. So these fish, they swim upstream, they drop all these eggs off, then the male fish comes up, drops all of his sperm off or spawn, on top of those eggs. Is that random? Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so fun playing with dots. All right, there we go. So because it's random, and because there's so much to choose from, the environment will not choose for all those variations of that trout, right? Every one of those eggs and every one of those sperm are completely different. And Therefore, each of those new combinations, zygotes, is going to be different. And because there's so many differences, the environment gets to choose which one is the strongest, right? And that's natural selection. That's not artificial. That's not like our dogs. We choose the dog we want, right? And then we have that thing reproduce. You know, nature, again, does not choose for a pug or a chihuahua. Throw that in with a pack of wolves, and we all know how that story ends. Yes? Yes. So let's think about our own mate choice, right? We choose our mate. That's not random. That decreases our fitness, right? The fact that we make a choice based on a bias. And because of that, it's still natural selection because it's what we do, but it does limit your variation, right? So in Darwin's time, scientists had become interested in the study of rocks, landforms, and then began geology, studying how land masses were once connected. Okay, we all know we used to be one big Pangeic continent. We were a comet flying through space, right? No. So in particular, scientists such as George Cuvier, James Hutt, and Charles Lyell studied fossils and rock layers. And Cuvier argued that fossils and rock layers showed differences in species over time and that many species from the past differed from those of the present. Well, we can see that. We used to have dinosaurs. We get that idea. And Darwin simply applied Malthus's ideas to all populations, and remember that a population is all the individuals within a given place. I went back, didn't I? I hit the back button. Why didn't someone tell me I did that? I was like reading it, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I just read that. Okay. Here we are. Here. So Cuvier did not see the species as changing gradually over time. He thought that changes in the past must have occurred suddenly and abruptly. Does that sound right to you? What do you guys think? Do things change rapidly and suddenly? On the planet Earth that we live on. Do things change right away, or do they take a while? Yes. I'm sorry, do they change rapidly? That's my question. Everybody says no, right? They don't change fast. Think about this. The rate at which you would have to change your DNA does not happen fast, okay? You're talking about changing your DNA so you get a different protein, right? Changing the amino acid sequence. That's not going to happen fast. So Hutton and Lyell, on the other hand, thought that geologic processes such as those that wear away mountains and form new rock and fossils work gradually and constantly. You guys, that led to what's called gradualism, which is part of the evolutionary theory. Things do not change fast. That is also why we cannot observe evolution of animals in real time. I say animals because can we observe evolution of bacteria and of viruses? Yes. So you have to be specific when you talk about evolution, because I can definitely show that evolution happens, just not with animals in real time. Yes? A little bit, yes. Most of it's artificially created, though. Yes? On the molecular level, what causes the change in DNA? Okay. If you were to walk out in the sunlight, rays from the sun hit your cells. They go right through your cell membrane, they go through your nuclear membrane, and they even shoot holes in your DNA. If you have a hole in your DNA, guess what? You have a different DNA getting copied onto RNA. Different RNA will give you a different codon and a different amino acid and a different protein. So it changes who you are genetically. That's one way. Sometimes when you copy DNA, you make mistakes that you don't catch. Remember DNA polymerase catches those? So if it doesn't catch the mistake and it's in a sex cell, it will show up in children, right?
But how does that mistake correlate with the environment?
So let's say you have a mistake. Let's say we all have a mistake and we're all these fish eggs, right? And we all hatch. The changes that we all have that are a little bit different, the environment's going to choose which ones are strongest. The ones that aren't will leave. Goodbye. You will not reproduce or die. Now, you don't even have to die. You just have to not reproduce, right? So let's think about that. Let's say I'm those birds on the island, the finches, and I have a little tiny beak, and I can run around and I have to work really hard because there's not a lot of insects on the fruity island, right? So I'm not going to be worried about reproducing. I'm going to be worried about food. Just like if I'm starving to death, I'm worried about a hamburger and not a girlfriend, right? sense? Okay. So Lyell carefully and thoroughly presented his ideas in a book which Darwin read, and Lyell's ideas did fit with Darwin's observations and showed that Earth's history was long enough for species to have evolved gradually, and that this thing called gradualism is what actually occurs, not this fast and abrupt change. We don't all of a sudden just change who we are. You're not going to get web feet in one generation as a population. Maybe as an individual, but do we evolve as individuals? No, as a population. So a summary, modern evolutionary theory began when Darwin presented evidence that evolution happens and offered an explanation of how evolution happens through gradualism and descent with modification. Darwin's experiences provided him with evidence of evolution at work. He saw that in fossils, the geologic record he saw as he went around the planet, comparing different organisms, both past and present. And Darwin was influenced by his ideas from the fields of natural history, economics, and geology, and we'll get into more of those in section 2, okay, but not today.